All right, if you guys want to go ahead and double tap the screen, comment, interact, help get some people in here, would appreciate it. Would appreciate it. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. I had Baby K. He's playing Minecraft right now, so you might hear him throughout the thing. We got Bert Macklin, Bert Macklin, Bert Macklin. Bert, what's up? What's going on, Bert?
What's up, man?
What's your take today?
Nothing. I remember yesterday, and you're a good guy, but
I don't remember what we talked about yesterday.
well,
Do you remember?
I don't like the left. Just joking. I love everybody, but I don't like the left's values.
The left's values? Was he a troll, by the way? What's wrong with the left's values?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
You couldn't tell me what's wrong with the left's values?
I just listen to what my grandpa says.
Fucking troll. Fucking crazy. All right, well, Bert, do you have any actual takes of your own, or you just grandpa's vicariously debating through you?
I can channel them if you want me to.
I would prefer not.
Sorry, I'm trying to get a spirit in me.
All right. If you guys are debating, go ahead and hop on in the box. I'm not sure if Jaden's going to join us this morning, but if you guys are on TikTok, you want to double tap the screen, leave a comment, interact. What's up? What's up, media?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Doing all right.
I was going to talk to Mr. Burt, but that wasn't going to go well.
I think it was just a troll. I don't know what his deal is. I guess he had a Ouija board. So, it's been a minute though. Is anybody? Is it gonna... Oh, Bert's back. Oh, God damn it. All right. Is Jaden coming on? I don't know. If you guys are debating...
you won't start talking crap whenever I leave, do you?
It's too early in the morning for this.
Bert, I mean, I think anyone's happy to talk to you if you take the conversation seriously, man.
Oh, I'm here to talk serious.
Cool. So what's the left to you? Can you define the left for me?
Dark Mag is back.
What they've embodied nowadays is it's gone too progressive, my guy.
Okay, so when you define the left, you're just saying the left is something too progressive. So like when you're talking about the left, we talking about like a global
perspective? It's become too liberal to a fault, I think.
Okay, too liberal. All right, so you think the left is liberal? Fair.
I mean, you can have leftists which don't believe in like capitalism, so I wouldn't say that's liberal, but I think Democrats en masse are liberal to a fault, yes.
Okay, so you would separate between left and liberal, though. So then if liberal you agree is not left, because I think you're right, when you distinguish between left and liberal with like capitalism, for example, where would you put liberal then?
I mean, they still want to retain capitalism, but they're not like wanting to upend democracy and make like, some Marxist country, I don't think. But I don't know, some of the values that they put out into society I think, have gone too far.
So then, like, you do think then liberalism and liberals are opposed to things like communism, socialism. So doesn't that make you somewhat aligned to them?
Well, of course, I believe in liberalism. If I was in like the 1930s and slavery was around, of course I'd be liberal on that. Okay. But nowadays it's gone way too far to the point that it's like we got to have some conservatism come back.
Okay, I have another debate. Apparently, a new pope was elected. I don't care all that much. Former Catholic here, don't give a shit. But yeah. What's up, Dark Maga?
Yeah, what's going on?
You were on last night on a different account, right?
No, it could be a different person. I mean, I'm sure there's more than one Dark MAGA, but I don't think I've been on your live before.
Okay, so what's going on? What's your take?
So I know you were talking about, the last guy was talking about what's wrong with the liberals. I mean, I can help. The reason why I don't vote Democrat is one, open border policy. They enjoy national suicide.
Sorry,
Um,
who in what policy was open borders?
well, when you have 8 million illegal immigrants crossing the border under Joe Biden, that seems like a big population. Would you admit?
Well, I would say number one, the migrants that you're talking about are stopped at the border.
So 8 million illegal immigrants crossed
Well,
the border under
undocumented.
Biden.
People aren't illegal. No, they were
All right,
stopped
so
at the border.
we're gonna have a disagreement on the
No,
definition.
no. They were stopped at the border. You're pointing to apprehension numbers.
Oh, cross the border. 8
Stopped.
million.
Okay, where does that 8 million number come from? Number one, I don't know that that's right, but it was about 2.5 million for 3 years, so we'll assume that it's right. Where does that number come from?
Yeah, so here's where we're gonna have a disagreement. And this is with every Democrat. They refuse to
I'm simply
acknowledge
asking you
the numbers.
what I'm asking you. This is the part of the numbers,
Yeah, this is
right?
what this is
How the
coming
numbers are
from.
collected.
This is coming from the border. People that work at the border. These numbers are coming from there.
Those numbers are apprehension numbers, correct?
No, I'm talking about crossings.
Right. So those would be in part apprehension numbers.
However you want to define it, when you have 8 million in our country that are illegal, it's the same thing. They're crossing into the country.
Those are people that are apprehended at the border. Yeah, bud?
I forgot how to walk.
The what?
I forgot how to walk.
How to walk? On Minecraft? Push the forward button. Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. Why don't you spend time with your child?
I did. I had him. He stayed the night last night. I still gotta
Oh,
work.
that's good. All right, yeah. So 8 million have crossed into the country. Would you consider that an issue?
Would I consider that an issue? 8 million have been apprehended at the border. Let's be perfectly clear. You're saying that these people are just coming in and walking in and whatever. Those are apprehensions.
So are they still in the country?
No.
So you're telling me Biden let 8 million people cross the border, they apprehended them, and then they got deported. That's what you're saying.
No, I'm saying they were apprehended at the border, in or about. The same exact way the numbers worked under the Trump administration, the same way they worked under Obama, the same way they worked under Clinton.
Do you have to cross our line to be apprehended?
That's irrelevant.
Well, you're disagreeing with me.
That's irrelevant. No, and you're going to turn it into a
cross the
semantical
border.
argument. No, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant.
It's
You're
irrelevant.
saying we have an open border policy, and I'm telling you that was 2.5 million per year apprehensions, and you're like, well, did they walk across the border first? That's a stupid argument. That's really dumb.
Not an argument. I'm going off of your logic. You disagreed
not
with
really.
me saying that they crossed the border, and you said they're apprehensions, and I said, okay, do they cross?
No, you
the
said
border
we had an open
before they're
border
apprehended?
policy. You said
You're
we had an
arguing
open
with
border
yourself at this
policy.
point. You're arguing with yourself.
Your argument is that we have an open border policy, to which I pushed back on by saying the number that you're citing as saying why we have an open border policy, which is not a policy, but you're saying we have an open border policy because of the amount of people that came here. And I'm pointing out that the amount of people that you're pointing to in that number were apprehended at the border, which would completely disconnect your argument of there being an open border. And now you're trying to argue, well, did they walk into the country first? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, well,
that has nothing to do with whether or not there's an open border. Biden did not have a policy of open borders, period.
would you
In fact, he
consider
deported
it
more
open if 8
people.
million people are currently in the country? Because I know Biden didn't deport those 8 million. That whatever you want to call
No,
it.
they were
apprehended,
auto-rejected
crossed.
under Title 42. Most of them were auto-rejected under Title 42.
He also got rid of Title 42, and Trump had to reinstate a similar version of it.
He got rid of Title 42. Are you okay? Okay, he dropped his tablet. He got rid of Title 42. Okay, come here. He got rid of Title 42, and the amount of apprehensions actually dropped by 70%, the amount of interceptions at the border. And that was a Trump policy. Here you go, Bubba.
So either way, there are a lot of things Biden did to the border that was negative, that impacted and caused these crossings.
Name something.
The Remain in Mexico. I mean, that's one thing.
Remain in
You got rid of
Mexico
that.
has to do with asylum. Remain in Mexico does not have to do with people crossing. It has to do with people that legally can apply for and obtain asylum in the United States.
Yeah, so he made it easier for them to stay in America and not go back to Mexico. So
That's the legal
the whole
process.
asylum
Hold on, that's the
process-
legal process.
Yeah, you want to call it?
Yeah, you're not
sure.
talking about right.
Legal
No, stop,
process.
stop. You're not talking about undocumented immigrants at this point. You were talking about undocumented immigrants. Now you're talking about Remain in Mexico, which does not have to do with undocumented immigrants.
Yeah, you asked for something that Biden did that negatively impacted the border. That was
I'm
one of
asking
them.
you for something. We were talking about an open border policy specifically, but I don't know how that would negatively have affected the border, people remaining in Mexico versus remaining here. I quantifiably don't know. You're talking about it affecting a few 100,000 people. So
Either
we're
way,
talking about
it's
millions.
purely black and white of the difference of Biden's care on the border versus Trump's, and
I
that's
would
one
say
of the-
Remain in
one of the
Mexico is
reasons why I'll
very
never vote
clearly
Democrat.
Remain in
Because
Mexico
you
is
want to have
very
all these terms.
Remain
you
in
wanna call them-
Mexico.
You want to
Remain in
call them
Mexico is
undocumented. You want to have all these fancy words saying there's not an issue at the border. It's lawful what they're doing when it's absolutely not. Nothing
What's-
the Democrats have done has ever been lawful. I don't think they respect the law.
What is not being done at the border that's lawful? Donald Trump didn't respect the law when he separated families. He's not respecting the law now with Kilmar Garcia. The Supreme Court said you're breaking the law. Send him back. Facilitate his return, and he said no.
He's
So
been in the
don't
Supreme Court
sit
for
there.
4
Don't sit there
years.
and tell. Don't
He's
sit
in
there
the
and
Supreme
say
Court even
that the
before
Democrats
Trump
are
was in
against the.
office.
Don't sit there and say the Democrats are violating the law because the courts are
Oh,
ruling
they
against Trump, and
absolutely
he's
violate the law.
okay.
They
What
love
way?
violating the
Name a
law.
law that they violated.
Well, first they weaponized the DOJ to turn
That's not what I
it on
asked you.
anyone.
That's not what I
I'm
asked
telling you
you.
how they do it. They weaponize
That's not.
the DOJ.
That doesn't. That they weaponize the DOJ. I know, like Trump is. Yeah, I know. Yeah, totally. Donald Trump was convicted. You're pointing to people that were convicted and saying they were wrongfully convicted by a jury of their peers with due process, and then ignoring Donald Trump. I asked you for the absence of law when it comes to the Democrats, and you're telling me, well, they weaponize law. I'm asking you for the absence of law.
Correct. They weaponize it to make it in their advantage so that they pass things that seems like it's lawful, but then they funnel all this money and do all these things that are unlawful, but then they cover it up.
Oh my
very
fucking
easily.
God.
And
Stop.
that's how you do that when you
Stop.
weaponize the DOJ.
Stop. That was
I know, it's too
embarrassing.
much.
That was
It might
no,
be
it was
lot-
like
it might
a
be too
child.
much
So
for you to handle.
do you know
It
how
might
okay,
be
what
too
are the
much.
elements of a crime? Let's start there. What are the elements of a crime?
What are the elements of a crime? That's what you're asking me.
Yes.
Elements of a crime when you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. That's first of all, whether you're
No.
violating the law or not. The problem is when you have the DOJ being weaponized, making
So
new
now
laws,
you're saying the law is not
rid of
being
laws.
now you're saying they're not breaking the law.
Well, if you have a law on the, you have.
Okay,
the
I'm going to
DOJ
stop you. You need to stop. You need to stop.
Such as,
You need to
no, a
stop
good
and
example is
listen
removing the
more.
Remain in Mexico policy. So just 'cause
Okay,
you
the
remove
Remain in
that
Mexico, yeah, the
doesn't
Remain in
mean
Mexico policy is illegal
that was a
internationally.
law. So
It's
if I
illegal
remove a law, that
internationally.
makes it okay.
It violates UN resolutions. It violates
Yeah, so you
conventions
want-
on how we treat people and them coming to the United States or any country for that.
So,
The
let me
Remain
get
in
this
Mexico
straight.
policy is internationally illegal.
So if the Democrats say it's okay, that makes it okay. That's your.
I
that's
don't know
your-
what you're
going
talking
with.
about. I'm asking you for how they violated the law. Just give me an example.
No,
Just
your
one.
Your whole.
No,
Argument with
your
this,
whole
if the
argument is sitting here
Democrats-
going, the
if
Democrats
Papa
violated the
Biden
law
says
and
it's
can't
okay,
tell me
then
how.
it's not against the law.
I'm asking
That's-
you for how they violated the law.
This is how you're arguing with everything, though. You're saying because Biden said it's okay, it's not against the law. If
That's
the
not what I'm
Democrats say it's
saying.
okay,
Oh my God,
it's
shut
not
up.
against
I'm
the law.
asking you very concisely. Tell me how they've broken the law.
I'm choosing to ignore your question because your whole
I'm choosing to have you sit there quietly.
It doesn't even make sense. Like based on his logic, you would like Biden. Biden deported a shit ton of people, bro.
Yeah.
Like extended title.
Biden
Biden
deport-
Like, what are you talking about, man?
I mean, let's be real. Biden's border policy was very Republican, but it was very Republican like 20 years ago, not the now Republican.
Doing.
If you guys are on TikTok, you want to double tap the screen, comment out, get some people in here, would appreciate it. It's just like, I'm not going to tell you how they're violating the law. They're using lawfare, which is this fucking term they just fucking made up, and ignoring the fact that Donald Trump is doing that very thing, going after people illegally. They're calling for the arrest of Aaron Parnas. They called for the arrest of Harry, of Aaron. They called for the arrest of a ton of people. Pretty soon it's going to be me. I don't fucking know. Is there anything that these people have committed that violates the law? No, they don't fucking understand it. They just turn around and go, well, they're violating the law. That's literally what you guys fucking do on a regular basis. They're violating the law. I'm asking you for the elements of the crime. I'm asking for what crime they're committing, because that's kind of important.
Yeah.
You just generally saying that someone violated the law does not mean they violated the law. You do not get to arbitrarily decide conduct that you do and don't like. I'm asking you very simply, what law did they violate?
Deliberately refusing to enforce the law is also a violation of the law.
No, it's not. Per the Constitution, there is no duty to act. Per the U.S. Supreme Court, you have no duty to enforce, no duty to act, period.
If you look at the Immigration and Nationality Act, the president is obligated to secure the border.
It does not violate. It does not, in the way that they see fit.
Okay,
in the way that they see fit. There's not a disagreement there. You're saying that he's violating the law. Simply inaction, a duty, a mission of duty does not qualify as a crime, period, per the Supreme Court. So you're just deciding that they're not enforcing the law. When Trump came out of office and Joe Biden came in, guess what? Joe Biden continued to enforce relatively the same laws that Trump did. In fact, he tried to take a Trump policy to a court in San Francisco. They told him, I can't find any quantifiable difference between you and your policy and the Trump administration's. Is very, very similar. And you guys are just, he refused to enforce. I don't even know what that means.
To secure the border, and you're not saying that's unlawful. Not only did he refuse, he dismantled everything Trump did on the enforcement, such as Title 42, which I've already mentioned.
That's
false.
That is literally false. That is
he kept Title 42 for 3 years.
It was almost for 3 years. What are you talking about?
So is this also false? Did he stop the construction of the Trump wall? Is that also false?
No. The wall that Trump didn't build himself? What are you talking about again?
There was a portion that he continued that he was obligated to build.
He executive ordered and stopped the construction. And if you're denying that, I can't talk to you.
He executive ordered and stopped the construction of that. Sure, whatever. I don't care. What the fuck does a border wall? What does a border wall have to do with anything? Do you remember?
It's actually impossible to have
I'm delusional. I'm delusional. A fucking border wall is gonna solve everything, and you guys fucking forgot about it. You forgot about it the moment Trump left office. The border wall was gonna save America. Now it's fucking tariffs. I know. Joe Biden built wall that he was obligated to with congressional funds. That's it. Why? Because the border wall is a stupid idea. And you saying, well, he violated the law. He can literally stop construction. If it's like, oh, we don't want this, and it's something that's not, that Trump, by the way, allocated funds through like emergency funds. He took funds elsewhere to build this stupid fucking wall. Yeah, Biden could go, I don't want that money going there anymore. And by the way,
Biden continued the wall anyways.
It was sitting in, I just want to point out, when Biden took office, the fucking parts to build this motherfucking wall were scattered all across the goddamn desert. So you sitting here going, well, he didn't do this. Okay, he didn't do it, but Trump didn't get it fucking done, and the border wall is stupid. Nothing you've said is illegal. And it's crazy to me, like in fascist, Stephen, how frequently you guys want to criminalize anything you disagree with on a policy level is fucking crazy. While you have Donald Trump with fucking endless evidence, and you sit there and scream lawfare. You scream lawfare. This is, by the way, like what they do. They scream lawfare at the same time they promote it. Y'all are sitting out here calling for Aaron Parnas to be arrested and Harry Sisson and a whole shit ton of people. Why? Because you politically disagree with them.
I don't even
Not because they did anything wrong. Not because they did anything wrong.
Well, now you're pivoting to a whole different thing. And first of all, when you talk about unlawful, you were asking me what the Democrats said that were unlawful. So when you ask me a question and you don't like what I say, you can't.
You didn't say anything that was illegal.
Screaming how the Democrats are unlawful.
You didn't say anything that was illegal. Nothing you said was illegal.
Okay,
nothing you said was illegal.
If Biden was so worried about all the money going towards this wall, why then are we funding? Why are we funding all these overseas wars, such as Ukraine? Why are we weak on China? What's up with
What are we weak
Iran?
on China?
Why's all this money
What are you
going
weak
over
on
there?
China for? Why do you
Why do
think
they care
China?
more
What do you
about
mean we're weak
climate
on China?
conferences
Why do you think
and
China
DEI
changed?
summits?
What do you think? Hold on a second. Why do you think China supported Trump to become president? Why do you think Xi
Well, he's a
made that
stronger
pivot?
leader. That's the first thing.
So Xi thought, I want a stronger leader in the position of the U.S. presidency. I'm going to back him.
My point I'm making, Biden was weak on China.
The Dark Maga, the problem you're having is all the things you keep pointing to and complaining about are like literally just bipartisan U.S. traditions, red and blue. So if like you want to point out like the issues you have with Democrats, like I have plenty, but the problem is the things you keep pointing to when it like as a blue or Biden, these are literally just bipartisan traditional like U.S. positions, bro. Like there's no open border policy. I don't think you do though, because you're arguing about shit. Like, so for example, Biden extended Trump policies. Biden continued the wall. Like, literally, that's appropriated funds that he was like, we have to do it, and he extended it. Like, it's why Crenshaw and people are like, we shouldn't celebrate this. It's what needs to be done. Like, you're complaining about shit that Biden did, bro. You think the United States empire has an open border policy, and you want to talk about delusions? He set deportation records. You should love that guy.
Yeah, and 20 years
ago,
there's
a lot of things Democrats did those 4 years that absolutely is ridiculous. Such as
I feel like
you've pulled out. We're just not going to mention that. Like, are you guys okay with how that was handled? Like, it makes no sense to me.
There's two things you should know, bud. One, mute the media. Your heritage is you're Afghani, right?
Persian. I'm from my dad's from Iran. Close though.
Persian. Yeah. So I couldn't remember, so I just wanted to double check. But you don't know anything about this topic. Do you know what the Doha Agreement is?
The Doha Agreement?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'll admit when there's something that maybe you have to elaborate on what that is. You're abbreviating it.
I'm not abbreviating it. If you don't know what the Doha Agreement is, you're not going to be able to understand. You are aware Donald Trump organized that withdrawal, right?
No, I understand. It was a withdrawal, and obviously, but Trump literally said that it was handled way too soon. That's not how it was supposed to be.
No,
are you aware of that?
Biden extended it by 3 months. This actually might have been 4.
Well, everyone is saying that it was sudden and it wasn't done properly, and they left $5 billion of equipment over there, which is still there. They also have parades with our equipment.
We left equipment over there that, in large part, was given this old equipment, 30 years plus. It's stuff that we gave to the ANA to fight over there to maintain their country.
How could you not leave equipment? You want to pull out. Of course, you have to leave the people that you like are supporting to like maintain what you were trying to do. We didn't have good goals there. Like, let's just go put your American foreign policy hat on. What are we supposed to strip them of all the resources, infrastructure, and shit that's supposed to maintain once we leave? Like, that doesn't even make sense.
These were terrorists that got a hold of our equipment. These weren't just resources we were providing.
Okay, so wait, hold on. The Taliban are terrorists, right?
You're asking if the Taliban are terrorists?
Yes.
I don't live over there. I don't know what happens, but I know terrorists got control of it, is what I know. And they have parades with our equipment.
Right, so that would be the Taliban. So you're saying the Taliban are terrorists, right?
Sure.
Cool. Trump released 5,000 Taliban from prison, in direct contrast to what the Ghani government wanted. And on top of that, he negotiated at Doha with the Taliban. So Donald Trump negotiated with terrorists.
That doesn't excuse how they pulled out of Afghanistan and left all that stuff for terrorists. That doesn't excuse that.
They didn't leave it for anyone. They left it to the Ghani government.
Well, obviously you need to look at exactly what they left over there and how quick Biden decided.
I know what was left over there.
And you
Joe
see how much
Biden left.
Money,
hold on, wait.
Terrorists, how they're having parades with our Blackhawks.
Really quick. They gave equipment to the ANA, which is the government military that we set up. Trump then negotiated to leave and abandon them, at which point their morale was broke because they didn't believe, especially in the military, that they were going to get paid because of the corruption that was happening.
Why is Trump saying otherwise?
Well, saying, of course he's going to fucking lie. He's never done anything but lie.
Well, it's not just him. It's a lot of military leaders, too, saying this was ridiculous because...
I know, and all of them, it's not because of Biden. Most of them go, what Trump wanted to do in Afghanistan was fucking crazy. He didn't set anything up. Period.
This is another. I'm sorry to
So
interrupt.
why
This
are we
is another
blaming?
example.
Why are
Dark
we
Maggot, this is
blaming
another
Trump
example.
when
Sorry.
Biden was president when this happened? It's absolutely
Yeah,
ludicrous.
but dude, no. Here's the problem you're gonna have, Dark Maggot. Again, you keep giving examples that are just bipartisan U.S. activity, bro. Like everything
Well,
you
great.
keep pointing to is just red and blue. So like I don't understand why you're selective with it. If you're mad about the Biden pullout, why are you not mad about him continuing the Trump pullout? These are not disconnected things that just arrive in a fucking vacuum. They're connected activities, cause and effect. The U.S. State Department is not just like isolated 4 years to 4 years. You're complaining about shit that is red and blue. So which makes me ask: do you actually give a fuck about the problem, or is it just selective? Like what is it?
I
'Cause
don't
if
think
you
it's
care,
red and
both of them.
blue. Trump and his administration, when he is in power, he would never have done that or handled it like that.
He
So just
literally-
because it
that's
happened under
factually
Biden,
false.
saying it was
That's
Trump's
factually
fault
false.
does not make it Trump's fault. And this is
That's
the classic
factually
Democratic
false.
move. It's a bait and switch you guys do every time. You want to blame Trump for everything during Biden's
we're
term.
blaming him because the root cause on a lot of shit that goes wrong in America leads back to Trump. You can say, and I have some blame for Biden when it comes to the Afghanistan pullout, none of which has to do with, most of what you guys blame him for. But again, you're pointing, just to clarify, because I asked this question to literally everybody this comes up. What would you have done differently? What would you have done differently if you were Biden?
I would have stepped down and had Trump run the country.
No, fucking stop being fucking stupid. Don't be fucking dumb. Don't be an idiot. I'm asking you Jesus fucking Christ. It's not that hard. Fuck. I don't even want to ask the question. If that was what your fucking take was out of what I just fucking asked, I'm not really sure that you have the mental capacity to fucking take charge and be involved in this fucking conversation. Fuck. Let's try again. One more goddamn time. Fuck.
All right, so you're asking what Biden should have done
In Afghanistan, what should he have done to change the
so obviously
outcome?
I did a little humor at first. I would have put Trump in charge. But okay, so my take is if Trump had handled it, it would have been a completely different operation. So one, the conditions-based withdrawal, not calendar-based surrender is the first thing. That's what I would say.
Condition-based withdrawal. Okay, so Trump set up no conditions.
Correct. So Trump had a clear deal with the Taliban.
Trump did not have a clear deal. Trump set up there were no.
No, there
and by
was.
the way, it's so funny to
clear
me.
deal.
It's so funny to me. There absolutely wasn't. I've read the Doha agreement multiple
Okay,
times.
so
There is
he
nothing
literally
in
said-
there that
he
says that
literally
there's.
said- He literally said, "You touch an American, we turn you into dust."
I don't know what the fuck that has to do with conditions. I don't understand what you're talking about.
His
Which is funny
agreement-
because literally all of the
That's the condition.
analysis that I've read,
No attacks,
the conditions,
no safe harbor for terrorists, and peace talks with the Afghan government.
and then they pull out.
So you just
So
so you just
Biden
not hold on.
ditched the strategy and went full calendar base. So he said, "We're leaving on this day, no matter what."
No,
which
Trump
signaled
said we're
weakness.
leaving. No, Trump said we're leaving on May. I think it was
Biden
31st.
No, Biden extended the withdrawal by like 8 months for starters. Okay, like
It was
literally,
supposed
he
to be in May. I think it went to August. I don't know what
It's
that
not true.
means.
See, he gave a calendar day, and it happened that day, no matter what. That was
He
the problem.
actually didn't.
That's how
No,
it
he
signaled
didn't.
weakness.
And I'm gonna. No, you're wrong. This is actually funny because I know for a fact because I read the reports on this, and that this is actually comedic. No, he didn't. Trump did. Trump said by the end of May, I think it was May 31st or the beginning of May, something like that, that we had to pull out of the country. The only condition on the Taliban was they could not attack U.S. service members and they had to be in talks with the Ghani government, which they were. Hold on, not done. Which they were. That was the only condition. But the funny thing is, Joe Biden did not at all set up a fucking calendar date to pull out. And I know this because the reports on the ground, because at Bagram, they were fucking like, what the fuck? Because they woke up and the U.S. military was fucking gone. There was absolutely no warning given by the United States government that they were pulling out of the country. Literally, the Afghans woke up one day and we were fucking gone. And there was reports all over the fucking internet about this, all over the thing. There were quotes coming out from the Ghani government. The list goes on. You can go look it up right now.
Correct. So what Biden should have done is pulled out.
He got flagged. He had to go, unfortunately.
I mean, just to kind of extend on that, so like, and I know a lot of people in the comments understand this, but Trump did set a hard date. That was February. It was the end of February. Trump set a hard date. That was part of his agreement. Like Tommy mentioned, Trump was the one who negotiated the release of 5,000 Taliban fighters. Trump was the one who dropped our troop level from 13,500 down to 2,000. Trump was the one who initiated this agreement. Trump was the one who laid down the infrastructure for this withdrawal. Like these are facts. These are not matters of debate. Yeah, I think it was February. Someone could check me on that, but I'm pretty sure the initial date that Trump had in mind was February.
It was
And then,
one of the dates. He wanted to pull out in October, though. So, I mean,
that got pushed. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. He set up a lot of things to get fucked up after he left office. I don't know if he thought he was going to lose or what. Probably. But yeah, the Afghanistan withdrawal. I mean, so I do hold animosity towards Biden. The stuff that they're like, oh, they have our fucking military equipment from 30 fucking, who the fuck cares? It's not like, I don't know what they're not understanding about this. Like, they're like, they have our military equipment. They're flying around Blackhawks. Like, they're not going to have the ability in large part to continue flying whatever, right? They do have some helicopters. They're not leaving the fucking country. It's Afghanistan. And the fact that they don't understand that, Afghanistan is a immeasurably impassable country, right? Like, it's so difficult to get shit out of that country because there's not really a working road infrastructure. It's very mountainous. So what do they think they're doing? They're going to drive it over to Europe? It's just not going to happen that way. We left stuff there because it was cheaper, but we left it for the ANA. We left our excess equipment for them, and then we took everything else or destroyed everything else. That's just what happened. And then they point to go, well, we left $7 billion of equipment. Yeah, of equipment that we gifted them over a 10-year period. And it doesn't make any sense. You're going to pull out of the country? You're going to pull out of the country and then disarm the people that are going to be fighting back against the Taliban? What the fuck? What would that send to your allies? Did the Republicans want us to take everything out of the country before we left? And just screw over the ANA?
That's what's difficult about these combos, man. It's like, so like they don't want foreign wars. Okay, that's good. Like we can agree on that in a general sense, right? You want to pull back and reduce some of the spending and involvement on these things. And then to your point, what are we supposed to do? Just strip our quote unquote allies of everything? Like, and then it's difficult, bro. It's so yeah.
If you guys are debating, go ahead and hop in the box. I'd appreciate it. Just hanging. Appreciate the 5 over on YouTube. Appreciate it. Just hanging. Thank you. If you guys want to support the channel, there's a Venmo Cash App in the bio. You can sub to any one of the platforms, preferably YouTube. Be appreciated if you guys would do that. And I'm going to see if I can get someone else in here in a second. I am going to make a video at the end of this. I'm going to check out my son here really quick. Norma, appreciate it. Thank you for the resub with the Prime for 27 months. Appreciate it, Norma. Thank you. Just hanging. Appreciate it. Looks like he's just playing the Minecraft. I wanted to talk about this story, and I will talk about it once we get through these things, because this is actually it's a fucking funny story. I was researching something else, and I came across... I'm actually going to read this to you really quick, and then I'm going to let someone in here, and then I'll come back to this later on. I was looking up the Congress, and they were doing a bill to try and change the Gulf of Mexico into the Gulf of America as a bill, which is like, you guys are not doing fucking anything. I found out then that they're the most... they've got the least amount done after a new president has come in, like ever. Like they have 5 bills that they've passed, 6 that have been pushed through, and it's 1 less than Bush in 2001, and it's like, I don't know, fucking 10 less than Obama, and it's less than Biden, and they've been completely inept. But I did find this. This was interesting. They have the Take It Down Act. Now, in concept, I agree with this. It's a bipartisan bill. It's meant to stop deep fake corn images, right? Like, it makes it illegal for you to produce those or, whatever, which I'm totally fine with. I think that's completely reasonable. Like, I don't think you should be able to make AI of other people. That's crazy. And but basically it had to do with, this is what it says. It says, AI created illicit imagery that has exploded in the last few years, along with a rapid movement of AI tools by making it a federal crime to knowingly post or threaten to publish computer-generated pornographic images and videos of real people. This is what Trump's response was. I swear to God, I wish this was not real, but this is true. He said, Trump has said he would sign the bill into law. Quote, I'm going to use that bill for myself too. If you don't mind, because nobody gets threatened worse than I do online. Nobody. So he heard threatened online and has no idea. Nobody is making AI generated images of you as a corn star, my guy. No one. Literally no one. I was like, what the fuck? This guy's over here. They're threatened all the time. Nobody's making AI generated images of you, you fucking. Jesus Christ. Hello, what's up? I don't know your name, but what's going on?
Hi, my name's
Sisters?
Arzo. I would
Arzo.
like to kind of touch based off about what you said as someone
Sorry, you're breaking up.
who'd say, like, people love to say that Biden messed up by polling. Am I breaking up?
Oh, no, you're back. There we go.
Hello?
We can hear you right now. You broke up
Yeah,
for a
we can
second.
hear you. You're good.
Okay. I was going to say, like, people love saying that Biden messed up by pulling the troops out of Afghanistan. And yeah, the way it played out was rough, but let's not act like it was ever going to be clean or easy. We had 20 years, thousands of lives lost, trillions spent, and it still couldn't build a stable government. So at some point, somebody had to say, we're done, you know? And now about the weapons and everything, that part looks bad, but think about it. The situation, the Afghan army collapsed in days, way faster than anyone ever expected. You're trying to evacuate thousands of troops, civilians, allies, and gear, and you're doing it in a country full of mountains. Mountains. Afghanistan isn't, a country with smooth land. There's mountains. And you can't exactly load everything into a truck and drive it out. Some stuff had to be left behind, and I think it was a good plan because where else could you take it? And then I would also like to mention that, there's a few key things that, Biden could have done differently in his position when he was president. Like, first off, he didn't listen enough to people, especially young folks. And the student debt, he made some moves, but it was too slow, too confusing. He didn't hit everyone. People were still struggling, still waiting, still stuck. I feel like if he had just wiped out more debt clearly and boldly, he could have won more loyalty towards people and the citizens. And same thing with Gaza. The silence and the middle ground staff lost a ton of support. People wanted leadership. And it was all confusing. Everything he was doing, his communication skills weren't good. So yeah, that's all I really have to say.
No, I think you're right. The withdrawal, if you're like looking at it from like a U.S. foreign policy perspective, there's never going to be a situation where if you're thinking like from a nationalist perspective, there's never going to be a clean exit. My issue is like from a moral standpoint, like obviously we're not there for the right reasons, right? If you look at like the decisions on the opioids and whatnot, and what was going down with the Taliban, right, late 1990s and stuff like that. We're not there for freedom. But if we adopt the American mindset and say, hey, we're there for freedom, I don't think you actually get to withdraw. You don't get to leave. I've always believed like if you create a problem, you don't get to just say, yeah, well, I'm done with it now. I'm out. And so obviously that would be like contingent upon like the U.S. being some moral or ethical actor on the world stage. But yeah, if we're just looking at it from a pure like U.S. foreign policy standpoint, there's no clean break.
Yeah, there wasn't going to be. And it's interesting that, Bush especially. Yeah, hold on 1 second. Yeah, bud?
My animals that I'm putting in the carts, they just keep breaking them. Can you look that up?
Okay. Can you give me a few minutes?
Can you please?
Okay, I'll look up the animals breaking in the cars. Sorry. This conversation's funny, that's why I don't want to mute him.
I wanted to stay in the car, not break it.
Okay, well, here, go build something else and I'll look at it in just a minute, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Because when I made a train track, I put these animals in.
Those animals in?
Yeah, they spawn to a mine shaft.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take a look at it in a minute, okay, Bubba?
That's why they're not going.
Wait, could I ask something? Didn't Trump started the withdrawal deal with the Taliban and then Biden just, fell through
Yeah,
with it?
Biden
Yeah,
kept it
so
going.
yeah.
Yeah.
Biden
So I
made the
mean,
call that no other president would want it to. So I don't know
right.
why he's like the bad guy in this situation.
It didn't matter who was going to pull out. This was inevitable. And I mean, the point is like to Biden's credit, like you have Congress that constantly wants to cut funds there. They don't want to spend any more money. We don't have the ability. We lost control of the districts to the Taliban. About 85% of districts were controlled by the Taliban. So really, the only thing that we're propping up is Kabul and Kandahar. Outside of
Mm-hmm.
that, everything else is controlled by the Taliban. So
Yeah.
Biden's sitting there going, well, what do we do? The early on, there was a really big. I mean, early on, it was supposed to be like, literally the coalition was supposed to come in and do various different tasks. Italy was supposed to handle policing. By the way, they never even came to the country. So they came in during the initial invasion, I think, and then they left. But they never actually came to the country in any capacity. France was supposed to handle military security. Every country had their own. And then we invaded Iraq. And there was just no money. And so it fell apart. Was there any really a way? I mean, I think like a lot of the thing too is Americans like tend to think that like, every country and the way that which we leave there can be amazing or awesome or whatever. And I think it's just a lot of it's become politicized because Afghanistan is a country that most people don't understand, and it's become incredibly confusing to understand after the Soviet War, like really, really, just disconnected. We were never going to control it if we were just 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and we were
Yeah.
1 foot in, 1 foot out. It was going to collapse. The gravity of which, would have been varying, but yeah, we knew it was going to fall back into the Taliban and have for the last 15 years. I mean, pretty much the Bush administration gave up on trying to nation build, so.
I mean, for what I know, when the troops were there, I moved to America in 2017. I used to live in Afghanistan and I did go to school there. It was much safer. The women could go out in public without having a male figure. But now, like, it's harder to live there. You don't get education past third grade, which is difficult. But also, Afghanistan has no longer, like, a government. It's just the Taliban running everything. So,
Yeah, yeah, it is. And Republicans should actually love the Taliban, interestingly enough, because they're fighting the fucking Iranians.
Well, that's actually, you just hit it. So like we were never there to nation build, right? That's the plausible deniability of the empire. But Afghanistan's pretty strategically located right there on the border of Iran. You're right next to China, right? You're right next to old Soviet Union hotspots and stuff like that. There's a reason why you're in Iraq and Afghanistan, because the goal was to get to Iran, especially as like news of their nuclear program was breaking, right? The Iranian resistance broke news of that. So it's really important to understand like the frame of American foreign policy. And if like people believe like we're there like to promote democracy and shit, well, you're gonna have a really just a fallacious view of things, to be honest, right? And if you understand the actual goals, right, in terms of resource extraction and trying to promote our foreign policy apparatus, then you'll have a better kind of clue as to why we're doing things there. But the American public doesn't really understand our foreign policy, so.
Yeah, and I mean, this is especially true with a country like Afghanistan, where Americans already can't really conceptualize, like the like what Afghanistan is, what it looks like, the culture there, like Afghanistan is really pre-nationalism even, and Americans can't really understand that. They can't. You add into the complicated issue of the Taliban and what makes the Taliban, and Afghanistan is, different. And it's not a country you can easily understand. It really, really is not.
yeah. And I would also just like to mention something to the viewers. Like, a lot of people think that Talibans are just Afghan fighters who grew up, in the mountains. But the truth is, it's deeper than that. There's history, and it involves Pakistan.
Yeah.
See, after the U.S. got involved in Afghanistan, Pakistan started a double game, basically, policies. They were American allies, in the war on territory, but behind the scenes, parts of the military, especially I think it's called SISA.
The
I think
IS,
we're help.
it's the
Yeah,
IS, the
yeah,
ISI.
we're
Yeah,
helping and supporting the Taliban.
yeah, yeah. In fact, there's like, no one has made this claim. Like, I forget his name, Talib. He wrote the book called Afghanistan. It's a pretty good book, giving a pretty good insight onto, or introduction. He never actually says it, but he points out that when Kabul fell in 1994 to the Taliban, that the
Mhm.
attack was really, really coordinated, which was distinct and different, which tends to make me believe that it was the ISI. But no, I haven't seen anyone actually make that claim. It was just like, it's a bit coordinated for what they were. But basically, like, you have to understand, like, the Soviet war displaced millions of kids. Millions of kids were displaced by it, and they went to places like Pakistan, and they went to, some went to Saudi Arabia, some went to the borders of Iran, but most went to Pakistan. And Pakistan had set up these schools, these madrasas, teaching what's called Deobandism. And so all of these kids were exposed at a really young age. Millions and millions, basically the entire child population of Afghanistan was taught outside in Pakistan,
Yes.
and were taught extremist views. And when they came back, right, it's actually a lot of them didn't even come back. They were targeted by a guy named Mullah Omar, and he brought him back in to fight on behalf of the Taliban.
And I would
And
like to
basically
add
gave
this.
them this radical version. So a lot of these kids don't even know, like, the history of Afghanistan or anything like that. They just came back in, were told it, and they live in this country now, even though they grew up in Pakistan.
The thing
Since
is, a lot, even my dad experienced this. My father, he was sent to Pakistan at the age of 12 to learn the Quran, but they were teaching him other things and brainwashing him. But, instead of that, he learned English. So he has kind of told me a lot about the history of Afghanistan and everything. And it's genuinely crazy because a lot of it is just hid in plain sight and nobody knows about it.
Because oftentimes you guys don't get to tell your own story, right?
Yeah.
The empire's telling your story for you, which means it's going to be through our frame.
Yeah. But I'm going to let someone else come up here. But it was really nice talking to you guys. Have a good evening.
Yeah, take care.
All right, take care. My son unplugged that. All right. Yeah, the Afghanistan pullout thing is like, Jesus Christ. It's like the fact that they're like, Biden gets all the blame, Trump gets none is crazy. Because I think that there is blame to be held at Biden. I think that Biden just generally did not care. Like, he wanted out of the country. That was his position forever. He was against the surge. He was against being in Afghanistan. He was like, I don't know what we're doing here. Just get out. And I think that caused a short-sightedness on trying to handle the optics of it. But, when Afghanistan was in the midst of collapsing, he bombed for 2 weeks straight the Taliban, for some pretty serious bombing runs, and none of it prevailed. But I think one thing's for sure certain: the Taliban is here to stay. So it really is weird to me, like, the repression that people are totally fucking okay with. It really is weird to me,
That's kind of
Never
it,
had
man.
the thought. Huh?
I'm not pro Biden, man. I'm pretty, and I'm communist, but it's like we had dropped to 2,500 troops. Biden was never going to re-increase our presence. That was never going to happen. So
No,
just never.
and I think the larger problem too had nothing to do with Biden. I think there was just too much corruption. There was too much corruption in the Ghani government. And interestingly enough, Ghani did the same exact thing Trump's doing. He put in a bunch of yes men, pulled out qualified people, weakened the government because of it. And so, yeah, it was just dysfunctional. They couldn't weed out corruption. They couldn't figure out how to do that.
But it also plays, like, here's the thing, though, and this is where I'm kind of like, we like our corrupt governments. It makes it easier for us to do what we want to in terms of what our corporations can get out of it. And again, like, it's really important to understand, like, poppy fields were a big deal, man. Poppy fields were a big deal. We didn't like what the Taliban were doing. And again, the Taliban are this look, it's anytime you have a hyper right wing religious fundamentalist group, that's a no go. I don't care what the religion is. But we weren't there to fucking free people. We never have been. Empires don't go to Afghanistan to fucking free people. It's not how it works. So
No. I mean, Afghanistan on a map is a really important country that if you could nation build it into something that was acceptable to you, it would be beneficial, but just there's too many problems. There's too much extremism there. There's too much it really is religious fundamentalism. And I think it's sad because you go back to, the 60s in the Middle East, some of the most progressive places on the planet, and then fucking religious extremism, Religious extremism, money, and control. I don't know. I don't even get it. I want to live in places where I don't have to work. I don't understand why this, it's just so weird to me. Listen, if your religion is so fucking good and amazing and awesome, you don't need to force people into believing it, That's just a fun fact. You don't need to force them into support.
So here's the ironic part about that. If you look at the West, we love the Enlightenment, right? We love the Enlightenment period and all these things, right? They give rise to liberalism and, this concept of rights and things like that, and pushing back against monarchies and, their divine right to rule. Some of these ideas actually stem from the Islamic Golden Age. And conquest is always going to take a pretty shitty tone. There's no good version of conquest for conquered people, right? But there's also different tones to how people take over, how they rule after, and things like that. And Islamic conquest looked a lot different before its intersection with Christianity. Just straight up, there was a lot of times where Islamic conquest would be, hey, we're taking over this land. You don't have to convert. You don't have to convert at all. Now, that's a lot different. I would argue that's Christianity, man. Christianity's impacted and kind of influenced the world a lot in the last 1,600 years. And nothing ever good comes when white Christianity touches new areas. It just infects everything, in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, I was talking about it last night. It really is just let's be real. It's just mediocre white men, right? Just mediocre people in general across human history that don't have any redeeming qualities. There's nothing special about them. They exist, And those people never experienced any sort of oppression or any sort of wronging, and anytime you try and correct wrong that in-group has created, they're just existing, they get real irate. But it really is, it's just normal people that are just mediocre, and they create this fucking political wall of just fucking oppression, just I'm doing okay if there's people doing worse than me. Someone said Trump national parks proposal.
Stripping them so they could be opened up to private companies or what?
Yeah, but they're also going to sell land. That's what Trump wants to sell off land to all Americans. They're opening everything up to drilling and all sorts of shit. Because that's awesome. Nothing says cool national park like toxic sludge.
That's just heartbreaking, man. It is.
Okay, you're a dinosaur. I still gotta work for a few more minutes, then I'll come fix your Minecraft thing. You want me to turn the show on for you? I will in a minute. I'm working right now. I can't do it right now, but I'll do it when I get off. You want to go build me a building on Minecraft? I don't know, something cool. Build us a house, a base. Okay.
One underground?
An
underground one?
Underground? Yeah, you can build an underground base if you want. Usually I don't have them over.
It's all good, man. Problem with you having the kid around, they ain't human, bro.
No, he wanted to stay over last night, and so he it was late because I woke up at 7:30 to go use the restroom, And he woke up and goes, "Day, I'm ready to get up now." And I was like, "I'm not." He rolls over, passes right back out for another hour or whatever.
Yes.
I'm ready to get up now. I'm not. I'm not. If you were debating, go ahead and hop in the box. There's a lot of people that are no one's debating, but I think I wanted to go ahead and record this story.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you do your thing, man. I appreciate you having me up here, bro. And I'll try and hop in a little more. So take care, dude.
All right. Hey, take care. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. We got Jason. I don't think Jason's debating, but if we got a debate, go ahead and hop on in the box. I was gonna do this, record this video in a minute here. I think Jason's. Someone said, "We know why closed border." He didn't close the border. Border is still open.
Daddy, can you help me make it bigger?
Buddy, I'm working right now, but when I'm done, I can come help you. Okay? All right. AJC, appreciate the 5 gifted subs. Thank you over on YouTube, AJC. Can we get some dubs and drumsticks in the chat? It's actually members, but appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it, AJC. Dubs for AJC. What's up, Jason?
Hey, how's it going?
Doing all right? What's
Hey,
happening?
just real quick. Hey, what do you think the chances are is Trump planned the terrorist activity at the end of the pullout?
Did he plan the... I don't think so. I don't think so.
You know, maybe
I
some
don't
type
know.
of
I mean,
back channel Taliban, not necessarily Taliban. But
Yeah, I don't really see it. The Taliban was helping us facilitate, and it was ISIS-K. I'm sure that they probably suspected that it was a soft target for him, and it very clearly was. But, you know, there's the blame that Biden gets is just so fucking absurd. And more people died under the Trump administration, by the way. Right? It's crazy to me that like these same people be like, well, Trump killed X amount of people with COVID. And they'll be like, well, that's only 0.00001% of America. It's like, okay, what's that for the soldiers then? Like, use the same logic, right? Yeah. But they just are enraged for no fucking reason. They just really are. They're just angry at everything. No, the 13 soldiers that died. It's just so pathetic. You need to get, like, honestly, if you're weaponizing soldiers' deaths like that, you need to go get some mental help. That's fucking crazy. Like, it's not even like he did something. It just happened, you know?
Yeah, and on the lines of them complaining about equipment left over there,
Jaden, join.
I don't hear it talked about enough that how risky it was for lives to retrieve any of that. I mean, just the logistics and definitely the cost, like you talk about, and just the risk of more deaths. You know, just trying to retrieve a piece of hardware. That just wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
I felt about it.
This Dave guy. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, did that answer your question? Seems like nobody wants to.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious if there's ever any type of you ever saw any type of investigation about, you know, is Trump behind this pullout? You know.
No, I mean,
like
Trump set it up, and he did nothing to prep for it. There's some oversight that Biden did as well when it came to special immigrant visa programs and getting people over here, but ultimately that failure started with Trump. Trump had more time to plan it. Trump did nothing to pull out. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's all I had. Just kind of curious. Enjoy your show.
All right. Appreciate it, man.
Yep.
A lot of people chirping in the chat. I'm joining. Someone said you never knew why you supported Kamala Biden. Yeah, I do. I have lots of reasons. Lots of reasons. It is pretty amazing Donald Trump has done nothing. I was hoping Jaden was going to join because he popped in for a second, but whatever. I want to do this story really quick. All right, do we have anybody hop in the box to debate? Because I'm going to talk about this story. Nar? All right, well, let's do it then. Where is it? What was the bill? Okay. All right, so I found this story. Well, not really story, but the Republicans supposedly in Congress are going to change the Gulf of Mexico into the Gulf of America, like officially change it into that.
I'm trying to craft something.
Yeah. Well, I tried. I'll just tell you guys, I'll re-record it over for YouTube. But yeah, so the Republicans are doing a whole lot. They're changing the Gulf of Mexico into the Gulf of America officially, because this is totally something, that we wanted to have happen. This is totally something that we were super happy about. And that happened. So Congress is signing off on this bill. I thought this shit was hilarious. They're signing off on this bill where they're getting rid of AI deepfakes for corn, right? For the hub. And, buddy, hold on. Okay. I don't know if this person's debating. Anyway, so they're planning on getting rid of that for AI, the hub. And the reason being, obviously, is people they're being violated by having AI deepfakes made about them. And so it basically targets the production or publishing or the publishing of, I don't know if production, I don't know what the law's going to target, and threats made to release this information to various different people. It actually makes that a federal crime. And what's really fucking hilarious about it is that Trump's response for why he supported it was that, quote, "I'm going to use that bill for myself too. If you don't mind, because nobody gets treated worse than I do online." Or nobody. So he's over here like thinking that they're making AI deepfake like hub videos about the dude. Nobody gets treated worse than me and threatened worse than me. He has no idea what this bill is about. No idea. None. It's actually hilarious. I don't think he understands it at all. At all. Alright, if you guys want to support the channel, there is a Venmo Cash App in the bio. Alternatively, you guys can go join the Patreon. You can sub over there. That's a great place to sub. Head over to YouTube, sub over there as well. Trying to keep the channel going, so if you guys enjoy the morning lives, there's more structure that I'm trying to work into it and get that all kinks out. Obviously, I had Baby K today, so it's a little bit more difficult, but trying. Usually don't have him during the weekdays, by the way, so I don't. But hope you guys enjoyed his Minecraft stuff. Do you want to come say goodbye to everyone? You had so much to say a minute ago. Okay, I guess that's a no. I'm going to be back on live at 6 p.m. Pacific, and I will see you guys then. I'm going to go help him with Minecraft, I guess. So I hope everybody has a good day. I'll see you guys back at 6. Make sure you guys go sub on Patreon. Keep the show going. I was thinking about I'm going to check out Substack. I got to figure out what to post over there and stuff. But yeah, if you guys want to support the channel, make sure you sub on the way out, and I will see you guys at 6 p.m. You want to say bye? Is that your bye?
Gorilla.
He is a gorilla. Okay. All right, everyone. I will see you guys at 6 p.m. Pacific. Take care.